He's in. He's got
Hello.
the latest
What's up, Kyle?
version.
Hey.
He's got the latest version of Instagram.
Yeah.
Hold on. So finish your story, Daniel.
So Monday I was throwing the swim jig, didn't even get a bite. So then I was like, all right, I got to catch something. So I threw on Deke Jigs Shaky Head with the slug, caught one, stoked on it, went to work. Tuesday, I changed up to a smaller and slower presentation because the swim jig I was using on Monday had a paddle tail for slow retrieve. Tuesday, I went to a craw, and I went even smaller. Landed two good ones. And then Wednesday, I went to a bigger, heavier profile, and I got one bite. And then Wednesday, I was fishing under some light, and I saw calico, I saw sand bass, I saw spotties, all just like being a little bit more territorial because there's a lot of bait in the water right now, and so they're rushing bait, just scattering it.
A lot.
And they're pretty big because we were on a Friday.
They're definitely in the 4 inch, like the 3 to 4 inch range for sure.
So maybe that bigger profile bait is probably gonna get bit. You know?
Yeah, if I switched back over to that, I probably could have gotten bit, but it was on my Garibaldi swim jig and the Hot Cheeto, so I went with a more natural switch. I went to a more like what is it called? The Hollow Shad, Luke? Violet Hollow Shad by Sudden Impact.
Violet Hollow Shad.
So I moved to a more natural color, and Thursday I landed 3 on the 4. Yeah, I landed 3 on the 4 inch Hollow Shad torpedo, and so that was it. I landed 3 good ones, and I was super stoked about it. So then Luke went out Saturday. And then in that situation, Luke didn't catch anything because he was fishing the craw. What were you fishing Saturday?
I was fishing the craw.
Yes.
And I fished
Luke
the flat fall.
went a whole different route, and then we talked after Saturday. I went, there's a ton of fin bait. They're moving towards fin bait. Put on something that's fin bait. We went out Sunday, and we absolutely just crushed it. Again, on the 4 inch Sudden Impact torpedo, and then on the 4 inch Sugar Shaker. It was an open bite. And then I got 2 on the 4 inch slug in the Grunion color that I just poured, which is really cool. All right, now done with my long story. Welcome to
What's up, Kyle?
How you guys doing? It's good to see you.
I'm super stoked.
What's
we're all
happening?
super stoked to have you, man. I mean,
Yeah, sorry about that.
yeah, you're good.
But Charlie's the most super stoked.
Yeah.
I really am. You know, we met a while back, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
We got introduced by my brother Nick. You know, and I love your work. I love your artwork, man. You know how I am with you, man.
Yeah, no, you're since day one, or since that day, I guess. Yeah, you've been 100% support. So
big fan. I think we're all a big fan of your stuff, man. And
I appreciate it.
We're stoked to have you on, and we're stoked to hear about it, how it got started. You know, but yeah. So
yeah, I'm excited. Let's do it.
So I think anyone who looks at your page is going to quickly see that you've done stuff for Statement. You've done designs for them. They've seen your art. They've seen your baits. But we also want to get into some of your fishing because we don't get to see as much of that. But what I do want to say, and some people know and some people don't, but I do paintings. I do some design. I did Sudden Impact's new shirt. And when I was first when I started doing fish painting, I started revamping my style. And there were a couple artists where I needed to navigate, because I'd been looking at them for years, I needed to navigate not falling into their style. And it was Chovy Art was one of them. Keith Paints was another one. And there's a handful, there's 5 or 6,
cool.
but you were one of the people who I was navigating between. So it's cool to have you here and be talking to you, because you're someone whose art I've been watching, but I was being particularly careful to not fall into your lane.
Everyone has their own style, and it's always super cool to see that. You do like the marker stuff, right? With the paint pens? Yeah.
Yeah, and also I do digital, and that was another learning curve of making it so you couldn't tell when it was marker or digital.
Yeah, digital's a whole different game that I still am trying to figure out, but Yeah, I saw that.
And that's one of the neat things about your art is your digital and your painting are two different things.
Right.
You can see where they're derived from each other, but it's without question there's different stuff.
The digital, I've had to force myself to do more of a simplistic approach with it, but I think over time it's kind of evolved into its own look and style that I didn't initially like at first, but once I kind of refined it and figured out where I could put the details that I wanted in a simpler way, then it kind of became its own thing. Because when I do the marker, the pen, or paint, I'll spend hours, just doing little tiny things, but it's kind of hard to do that on a screen. So, it's a whole different game. Still figuring it out.
Boondock shouted you out, so
hey, that's a good guy too.
Aldo,
Aldo,
Aldo from Boondock Baits.
Yeah, he makes great jigs. I fish him all the time.
There you go. So I guess we could start this off by saying, like, how did fishing started for you? Because I know you fish a lot with your dad too. So let's hear that.
So
by the way, I got to meet your dad.
The PCS. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was cool. You guys all came together.
Yeah.
And,
my favorite thing about meeting your dad is we were all like, Kyle.
Well, I knew who his dad was. I knew who his dad was, but you guys had never met his dad, right?
No,
so
I don't even think I've seen Kyle's face until the PCS show. And I mean, we've talked multiple times. We've had conversations. So it's like, it paints an internet picture in your mind. And then when I saw your dad, I was like, I didn't have any expectations, but this kind of blew out not having any expectations. I'm going to be honest with you.
That's funny.
But your dad was super cool. That was fun to meet him for sure.
Yeah, people say we look alike, but I don't
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
There's that picture he has on his page. If you guys ever go follow his dad, there's a picture in the beginning of you and him fishing. You look just like your dad. Like you right now look like your dad when he was younger.
That's
straight
funny.
up, man.
Bang. But yeah, I mean, I really have him the credit for getting me into it. I mean, he would take me to the Sierras since I was like 2 years old, probably before that, and we would go fish trout in the summer in Mammoth. And then we'd fish King Harbor quite a bit because we grew up in Lakewood area. So we'd fish El Dorado, King Harbor all the time. We'd catch bonita, sand bass. But yeah, if we weren't doing that, we were at El Dorado catching bluegill and little baby bass. And then back to Mammoth in the summer. And then we moved to Orange County, Mission Viejo. And same thing, him and I, we'd fish the trout tournaments all trout season. We'd fish bass like pretty much every weekend all year. So yeah, he kind of just got me hooked on it. And now he's probably the only person I really go fishing with. We still fish the calicos on the wall when we can and stuff. So it just started from there, and now I love it. We've had it's like a 12-foot aluminum tin can rowboat. Just put an electric trolling motor. Yep. Just drift the wall, a few times. And yeah, we got spoiled. Like after 2-3 hours, that's about as long as we'll go. We'll fish one swing, and I'm like, all right, let's get out of here. But we've done the full 8-12 hour day thing. But now it's like we'll just fish the one swing, hit the bite, and then go home. So
get the fix for the day,
right? Huh? Yep. Try out the new grub colors or something. And
you sound a lot like me, because
that's what I was just gonna say.
I used to not be able to get out to go shore pounding a lot. So it was like, man, I need to capitalize on my time out here. I'm going to fish from dusk to dawn. I'm going to fish from, dusk to dawn, really, all night long. Yeah. So it's funny how my trips have kind of changed throughout time. I go, if I don't catch anything in an hour, I'll just come back another day. Yeah, I'm not going to stay out there for 3 to 4 hours hoping for one fish. I just go, all right,
I'm doing that for sure. If I have the time to, if I'm not, I don't have the luxury of going out as much. So when I do go out, I need to catch a fish, and I'm gonna spend time trying to catch a fish. You know,
that's how I am.
But yeah, you know, I get it. You know,
yeah. I've been in both parts. I mean, it depends. Sometimes if I'll get a little spark in me, and I'm like, oh, like you get that one hit, you know, and then you start thinking, and then you start trying to connect the puzzle pieces. But then sometimes I'm just like, let's get out of here. But yeah, I used to in high school, man. I was crazy about it. 8 hours, I was so stubborn, but now it's kind of toned down a bit.
That's typically how I do it, because like Charlie said, if I've got that day, which might be my only day, like we're fishing until I'm done fishing. The other day, Daniel goes, well, what time will we be fishing until? I was like, till I'm done.
Well, that's nice. Yeah.
He goes, yeah, never mind. I'm not going to make it.
Well, there's two modes that I kind of fall into. My thing is, I used to feel bad if I didn't get bit. Like I was frustrated to spend 8 hours to not catch anything. So that's where pretty much all of this started, was the frustration of not catching fish and wanting to be consistent in catching fish, whether or not that was just one fish. And then, you start from there. All right, let's be consistent in catching 2. All right, let's be consistent in catching 3. And then so on and so on. To where it's like, that's kind of the root of all of this right here, is just being able to say, I'm going to go out and I'm going to catch one fish. And to where it's like, how do I break down the area that I'm fishing? How do I break down the tide? How do I break down the weather and all this? What bait, what this, what line, what that, what this? So it's like, I just want to catch one, whether or not it's in an hour, but it's like, how do I put myself in the best situation to catch that one?
Yeah. Maximize your efficiency in that time. Yeah.
So how old were you when you went out to fish?
I don't know. My dad says my first fish, I was like 2 or 3 years old, but, and like I said, I mean, he would take me all the time throughout elementary. But it probably wasn't till when we moved to Orange County. I was in middle school, and I caught my first bass when I was like 11 or 12. And I fell in love with it because, prior to that, it was just trout fishing and sand bass and calico, but, my first largemouth. And I got so into it, I was ordering all the Bassmaster magazines. I'd record, the Bassmaster classic. I was following, all that stuff. So I was kind of fanboying in that sense. And then high school, we started fishing calico more. So I'd say middle school, high school is when I really kind of got into it for myself, rather than just, oh, my dad's taking me fishing. It was more like, oh, like we need to go fishing, and then, really trying to understand it on my own and, falling in love with it on my own account, I guess. But yeah, and then since then it's kind of grown. But it's sad. Mission Viejo, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that fishery, Lake Mission Viejo, the lake out there. It was really great bass fishing. It was a private lake, but I mean, you would see double-digit bass all the time following your boat and stuff. But they had a fish die out, and because of that, that's why we started fishing calico more, because we had nowhere else to fish. So we started fishing the wall and stuff. And I think, no, it's called golden algae. And it's actually more of a virus. It's a free swimming virus that is completely harmless to humans, plants, aquatic life, and even to the fish. But what happens is it embeds itself in the fish's gills, and then it causes an infection, which causes the gills and the skin around it to swell up and get inflamed, and then they suffocate. So the only way to really get rid of it is either spend a lot of money on this expensive treatment.
Is that the algae problem?
It might be. I'm not familiar with the Arizona one, but I'm sure it's something similar. But yeah, I mean, unless they kind of dump the money into it, or you just kind of dry everything out, and then restart, it's kind of hard to get rid of it. But yeah.
So I saw on your page, and I couldn't tell if it was you or if it was someone else.
Right.
I know you will repost people's pictures.
That wasn't me. That was my buddy Ira.
That wasn't you?
Waldman. No, he just had my hat on. But no, I've never caught a tuna or done anything of that sort. I just stick with the bass and the trout and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that picture and I was like, I'm gonna have to ask because I can't quite tell.
I wish that'd be cool, maybe one day, but no.
Yeah, when I was looking through the pictures to get pictures to screenshot.
Right.
I was.
Hey, Souza wants to see you give a big smile right now, Charlie. Souza wants to see you give a big smile right now.
I'm always smiling, guys. Yeah, so I really thought it was you too. I had to double check on that one.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, you have amazing eyes.
Thank you.
So our grubs.
Yeah, so I poured the grub and then a swim bait. It's like a 4-inch swim bait, and then I pour like a 6-inch grub that I don't really put out much.
I'm like, I've never seen a 6-inch.
Yeah, and then I do like a 5-inch swim bait. Yeah, I can see.
6-inch.
What's up, West Species?
I got some. So, see, can I flip camera? Okay. So everyone's seen, that's the one I put out all the time. Everyone's seen that. And then this. Mm-hmm. This guy's probably a 4-inch as well. This one I cut down about 1 inch because that's what they were biting the other night. But it's about a 4-inch, and then here's the swim bait. It's also about a 4-inch. But here's the bigger grub. I don't really post this guy. Yeah, but it gets bit for sure. And then like a 5-inch swim bait. Yeah, and that.
Yeah, I don't talk about it a whole lot. I'll talk about it sometimes, but I'm a big grub fisher. I'll fish. I get little grubs from Predator, and then I get big, huge grubs from Sudden Impact. I don't even know what these are. It's big though. Well, this is their 8-inch bait, so it's a good size.
Yeah, no, they get bit, man. We obviously fish swim baits all the time, and then we got a random pack of the AA ones, just the old school, like little green ones.
Yeah.
And we were killing them on it. And then I wanted to fish something bigger, but I couldn't really find anything that fit on, like a lead head that you would fish for swim baits. And then that just was in a bigger size because everything was either 6-7 inch or like 1 inch. So I was like, I'll just make my own. And they just been working really good for us. And that was probably every bit of 10 years ago that I made.
So did you carve that right out of a block of wood? Clay. How'd you do that?
So I shaped it with clay and then baked it and then sanded it down, primered a few times, and then did the silicone and all that. So yeah.
So is that the same
everything
thing
I've
with your paddle
made
tails?
Came from clay and all that. Yeah.
Now, what kind of plastic do you use? Do you use a sinking plastic or a floating plastic? So a lot of people like the floating stuff.
I think I use floating. It's just like the MF medium grade or medium hardness. And I want to say it's floating because when I put them in the water to cool them down, they definitely float. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are actually asking last episode, tips and tricks on pouring. So since I kind of brought that up, in your journey of pouring plastics, what are some tips that you wish you knew earlier on in life, I guess?
In your pouring life.
I would say
we're going to go all the way back.
Yep, all the way. For me, I think you got to take your time because whenever I try to rush it, it never looks good. The plastic either yellows or burns, glitter melts, or the pores just don't come out clean. Like you just kind of have to take the time to do it right, and just kind of get into a groove. And before, I'd get either too excited or I'd get stressed, trying to fill an order, and you're just trying to pump them out, and then you have to start over. They don't look good, So you gotta.
So okay, since you brought that up, how many cups of plastic have you burned?
I don't know.
Have you mushroomed over, and you're just like?
I had to buy a respirator probably 6 months ago, because before I was just doing it without one. And I started noticing, I was like, this isn't good, man.
Come on.
I come.
that too, though. Daniel's doing that too for a while.
I come back into the house and I'm like, things are floating and spinning circles. It wasn't good.
Oh my gosh. The worst part is when you are rushing and you finally get that color down and you put it in the microwave for that last tidbit of time to just kind of get that next level of like viscosity, and you're like, all right, it's just a little bit. I just need a little bit more. I just need a little bit more, and then it mushrooms over, and you're just like, I just spent like 45 minutes perfecting this color, and it's horrible. I'm in a pretty small shed. I got double doors, so those are always open. But I mean, I've walked out of here, and I've just been like, all right, we're just gonna leave these open for the next hour and just let that go. Yeah,
that's the worst.
So you fish the wall, and I would probably say more than I have. Is there a specific color or bait that you like using for sand bass? Because somebody said, what is your favorite Dolan baits for sand bass? But I'll get to that after you.
We all know it's the leech.
That's not super.
Not really.
I'm not super experienced with sand bass all that much, and I'm also not really picky with colors. Like when I fish my baits or any baits really, especially at night, I don't really. I'll throw chartreuse and then the next cast throw brown. Like I'm more concerned about the action and the profile of the bait, because especially at night, you just want something that's going to put out a good profile and a good silhouette. And I like to fish a lot of structure, a lot of kind of boiler rock stuff where there's going to be a lot of bubbles and stuff in the water, a lot of kelp. So really a lot of the bites that I'm going to get are going to be more of a reaction or aggressive predatory bite. So it's not like they have much time to look at it. But sand bass, I always used to like throwing like the old school scampies, like just the plain old lime green or like a motor oil scampi. For some reason, greens for me for spotties and sand bass always seem really good. And then, red and brown for calico. I don't know. I'm really old school. I'm not picky about if it swims good, man, and it gives a good tick on my rod tip. I'm happy with what I'm throwing.
But then again, most of the stuff that you pour is like natural colors, right? Like the browns and the greens, right? Like not even fluorescent greens. I think.
Oh no, you can
go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think maybe it's just a subconscious thing where I don't like the flashy colors. I don't know. I guess natural colors for me always just came natural. Even when I'd, right. But, when I'd go buy swim baits, I'd always be like, just good old toast or like even Christmas tree was too flashy for me. And then even like Halloween, I can geek out. But like some people make a Halloween really bright and some people make it more subtle. And I always would pick the more subtle ones. But that's just me.
And it's weird because I would say we've had a lot of nights where like it doesn't matter, nothing's getting bit, or it doesn't matter, everything's getting bit. And there's a couple different nights I'll go back to, and one was a night we were on a sand bass bite, and we had white and clear bait, and if you used a straight white, it wasn't getting hit. If you used something with another color, it wasn't getting hit. Only the white and clear got hit, and as soon as we went through that bag of baits, bite was done. Yep. They wouldn't hit anything else. And then we had another night where overall it was a good night. Yeah. But I started throwing bluegill at the wall, and they weren't hitting anything. And then I threw out the hot Cheeto, and they went nuts for it. And then I kept switching back to other colors because I only had a couple hot Cheetos. Yeah. Nothing. Throw that hot Cheeto out again, it's bit again. And so it's just
crazy.
It's weird how you'll have those nights where they've got something they're going for.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had nights where, because, my dad and I will always go fish, and one of us will start, with a crankbait or a swim bait. Each of us are throwing different things until we kind of dial it. And it's weird because you'll even have like grub and a swim bait, which to me, they're not terribly different as far as action and profile. And he'll be getting bit every cast, and I'll have whatever he's not throwing. And then until I switched to what he's throwing, then, we both started.
Finding that
so it's
flavor
just,
of the day.
Yep. It's just weird how they seem to pick up,
Souza says
vibration.
the glitter always hits. And I think I kind of agree with that, Souza.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to have better days on glitter.
Yeah.
You like sassy bass, huh? You like sassy bass.
I do.
You like some glitter bass.
I'm the sassiest bass.
So the nice thing about fishing with other people at the same time is, and I do this a lot with trout. My dad will fish a different color. I'll fish a different color. He'll fish a different color, and then we'll we have a two brush stamp until we find they're clearly biting on red. All right, change everything out to red, and then we just kill it. But what's funny with Luke and Charlie is we'll go out and we all have very different fishing styles to begin with. To where it's like Luke is probably going to be throwing some form of either, I want to say, retrieve swim bait style, to where it's the gill, it's the torpedo, it's the trout, something possibly with a belly weight. I'm probably going to go for Texas rig first and then change out. And then Charlie could probably throw something else that's finesse or something in that line of just like, you know what? Charlie has a way of just throwing something unique. And we just go, all right, Charlie, like, okay.
Let's see what happens with that.
Yeah, sure.
He's just kind of like the one that's like, all right, if Luke and I aren't getting bit, Charlie's about to just throw on something that's about to get bit. Yeah. And my buddy Simon, who just came out of nowhere.
Simon the Scrounger?
Heads. Yeah.
Scrounger Simon.
Yeah, Simon the Scrounger King is the funniest because he's like, have you guys ever tried Scrounger heads?
Scrounger.
And
dude, have you thrown Kyle? Have you thrown a Scrounger before?
No comment.
Oh man!
Oh wow!
No, they get bit, man. They get.
You're like, but I don't throw it.
Right? It's a secret. It's a secret.
It's a secret. Daniel, you just gave the secret away. Shoot!
Don't go fishing the Scrounger, guys.
It doesn't catch fish.
They don't work.
So this motherfucker Turnt has a question for us. Which, by the way, me and Charlie got to meet him at the Young's Tackle Seminar the other week. It was very nice to meet you. He wants to know if you could choose only one, would it be a paddle tail or a grub tail as a trailer?
As a trailer, like as in a jig?
Yeah, it is a jig.
Oh, grub every day.
Grub all day?
Yeah, for me.
Grub all day.
Yeah.
What's your answer, Charlie?
I want to say a grub.
A grub? I've never seen you fish a grub. Not once. Not once in my life have I seen you fish a grub.
It's maybe not. Well,
did you
not
just
a
want
grub.
to agree with him?
No. Maybe. No, it's not a grub. Let me go. No. Do I have some right here? No, I don't have any. So when I throw my jigs, I usually fish SoCal's jigs, right? And then I have Daniel's jigs, which I put on Daniel's jig, I'll put a leech, right, on it. Yeah. So is that considered a grub? Maybe, right?
No, I'd consider that a creature.
Yeah. Okay. So Combat Baits makes a javelin, right? Have you guys seen the javelin, that Combat Bait?
Yeah, those are nice.
Is that kind of like a railroad spike?
No, it's like
kind of like a beaver or like a chigger craw.
So another creature.
Nick, if you're on here, what is Kyle's javelin? Like, what would you call it? So I pair the javelin with the jig, which is a perfect combination, man. But the grub also, So I got some grubs poured by Kyle, red. So they're craws.
It's a craw. Okay.
So I got some.
I love
jigs.
craws.
So I got some grubs made by Kyle. I got some red ones and some chartreuse because I have a red and black jig made by SoCal, and then I have the Joker. I don't know if you guys seen the Joker before, which that's my favorite color. Purple and green.
That's a good color,
right? So I got one of those made by you. So I throw grubs. I got to use them, though,
Yeah.
So I already know Daniel's answer. Otherwise, he'd be making a grub.
Well, If I had to choose, though, that's kind of different.
If we're going out right now, you can pick one. You want a grub or a paddle tail?
It really depends.
No,
on
no,
you got one.
no,
you
no,
got
no.
one.
He's
Like,
picking
Daniel,
a paddle
you
tail.
have-
He doesn't pour a grub.
You have to leave now.
Yeah.
You can't choose. Grab what you
He
have
doesn't
and go.
even own a grub. There's no grub in his tackle box.
Wait. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. No, you might be right.
So
No. I'm looking now. Probably a grub. We'll go with grub.
So I take that back.
I'm gonna go.
It's not a grub. It's a craw. It's a
Okay.
craw. It's a craw.
So you're gonna just throw creature into this whole conversation.
It's a
Charlie's
craw.
going with the creature. So
I love creature baits.
I love the grubs.
Mhm.
Always got them around. They're just sitting here on my desk. I'm even going to go into color a little bit. I like naturals. I like the violet hollow shad with that little bit of purple. Purple's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
I also like the rough fish color. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
I always get bit on grubs. Always. I think my biggest grub fish is a 5-pound sand bass. 5-pound sand bass that I caught in just a couple feet of water. It was really awesome.
That's sweet.
That being said, if I'm going out, I'm hunting a big fish, and all my bigger fish have come off something with a tail.
Yeah, I would say.
And so
what about that spotty you just caught? You caught it on a creature.
Me?
I'm talking to Luke.
Oh,
He broke his PV on a creature.
Broke my PB on a sudden impact.
Oh, sweet.
3 HD craw.
I like that color.
I love that color. It's got the green that I like. It's got the purple that I like.
Sweet.
No, but if it feels like it's a craw time, I'm throwing a craw. But if I'm going out and I can grab one bait, it's going to have a tail. Whether it's a paddle tail or a wedge tail.
Right.
And typically, I'll choose the wedge tail because I'm going big.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys don't know, Luke will stick an 8 on anything.
We're at the seminar. We're talking about, it's afterwards. We're in the shop. We're talking about rigging, and one of the guys is trying to rig up a little bluegill, and it takes like a 6.0 or something. And I'm like, put an 8.0 in it. Shannon's like, no. I'm like, dude, put an 8.0 in it right now. It's gonna be bitching.
That's nuts.
Go for it.
I was just gonna say those. I meant to grab some of those little bluegill baits at the show, but I think the color I wanted was gone. But do you catch your calico on them too?
Oh yeah,
really?
You catch everything.
There's 3 sizes, and I'll fish all 3 sizes. Really? The big one, I probably got one right around here. The big one's a good size.
It holds a 10. Is that the one you're talking about?
I think it holds a 12 maybe.
Oh my.
No.
I could never remember. I just grab a big ass hook and throw it.
Wait, he's gonna show you. He's gonna. That's not a big. I mean, it is a big one, right? What? How big is that?
It's big.
The
Like
big bluegill.
But that looks small
I'm
in Luke's
sorry.
hand.
Who has been to
That's
the
an 8.0 in the
show
medium right there.
Okay.
8.0 just shoved in there.
Right.
The big one fits the 8.0. The medium one fits the 6.0.
No, the big one fits a
The
10.
big one fits a 12-0. Maybe it's a 10. I don't know. That's a big hook.
I think it's actually a 10. I think you're right.
Whatever the biggest hook in my box
It's a 10.
is what I put in this thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
those are
Luke,
sweet.
you're already throwing in the biggest hook that you can fit. So I don't trust your judgment one bit.
I'm hoping to catch a big fish. I don't want
6.0,
small hook.
4.0. You're not going to miss the fish you want.
If you look at this tray, this is
And
all.
quote Shannon.
That's all the big stuff for the big fish, and right in the middle of the tray, 10 gram.
Oh man,
That's funny.
yeah. Nick said go ahead for the 12. It'll fit the 12.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll fit a 12-0 in anything.
So Kyle,
she said.
back to you, man. Concepts. I love your
That's you,
concepts. We
Tom,
all love
the
your
weather.
concepts, you know?
Thank you.
Dude,
Yeah,
can
yeah.
anyone make that Mandalorian shirt?
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
I did see that on your page.
Yeah, that's an old one. You had to dig for that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, we digged.
yeah, yeah.
I
I've
remember when
I've
it
been
came
playing
out.
with it. You think would I get in trouble though if I put that out? Is Disney gonna come and sue me, or how's
Do you
that
have a
work?
website? Do you have a website?
Yeah.
Don't put it on your website. Just sell it at shows.
Yeah,
Wait, do a Daniel and just sell out of your backpack.
yeah,
Just don't even get a
You
booth.
know-
Bring your backpack to the show.
yep.
I got the
Wait,
good.
hold on. I'm sorry. Lateral Vision said it the best. I think that's what they did when they were first starting. If you guys haven't heard that podcast or that episode with Nick on Cast and Crank, they did the same thing.
Mhm.
So I'm validated in my actions of selling baits out of my backpack at the PCS show. And did I not say I'm going to get kicked out? I didn't even throw it out there. I just said possibly more than
Dude,
likely
I'm like,
I'm
we're
gonna get
walking,
kicked
and then I just see like I guess Daniel had people already set up for this show,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Because
I'll
we're
meet you
walking,
over
and
in
they're
the
like,
corner.
Oh my gosh.
we're walking, and then all of a sudden, this dude taps Daniel on the side, and he's like, "Hey, man, you got the stuff for me?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got you right here."
Oh my gosh.
So he's slanging baits out of
Oh
the
my
backpack.
God.
But with that being said, you know, how did your company come about? Like, how did you start your company, or what made you start your company?
Trying to make a buck out of geez, I because I started just by drawing.
So it was
Just
drawn
put-
before the baits.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been drawing my whole life. But yeah, just I didn't even have Instagram for a long time, and then got one and started posting some drawings that I did, and started getting, people were liking it, and I was like, all right, that's cool. And then it turned into prints, did a few batches of prints, and then, turned into more prints. And then I downloaded like Photoshop or Illustrator, like the free version, and made a couple little designs and made them into stickers and sold the stickers. And then people were like, oh, you should make hats, make tees. And then, did that, flipped that money, bought more shirts, and, it just kind of kept growing. And up for a long time, I was just selling on Instagram. People would DM me and stuff. And then that was just too much. It was too overwhelming to handle all that. So I did the website. And then, it's just kind of growing. Since then, I'm hoping to keep it going.
That's actually exactly where I am right now.
Yeah.
The same like order style.
Right.
For everybody that is listening, I will have a website up this year, which is going to be
Is
really
that
awesome.
so?
Nice.
Yeah, it's probably going to be up before my boat. So, yay.
It probably is, huh, Luke?
I don't even want to talk about it. Have you heard about Daniel's boat?
Mm-mm.
So
No.
the first time
Everybody's heard about my boat. Don't
No,
tell
he
it.
hasn't heard about it. So first time, Daniel's like, hey, we should buddy boat. Cool. So we're launching from two different areas. We're meeting way back in the back harbor.
I didn't know you were going to go back
way
that far.
back in the back
I didn't know
harbor.
you were
So
telling
we
this
get
story.
there, and Daniel goes, we pull up this boat, and he goes, hey, can you tow me? The boat's broken down. And I said, I'm not towing you anywhere. He goes, really? You're just going to leave me here? I tie him up to the side of my boat. I'm like, you're fishing with me.
Oh, geez.
We drug him around for hours tied up to the boat and fished the whole night.
Oh, man. And he was probably
then-
stressing, too, the whole time. Like,
Dude, and then
Yeah.
so our buddy Rick from Predator Swim Baits, he's a mechanic. I
Mhm.
go, dude, let's go home. Go over there and fire that thing up. First pull, fires it up.
The touch.
Yep. Gotta.
He talked dirty to it. Let me tell you the
Mhm.
real story behind all
you got to
this,
warm it
okay?
up.
So
I think
I'm out
Daniel warmed it up a
there.
little too much. It had to cool down.
Got scared.
yeah, sure.
It got scared. No, he flooded. He flooded it.
He
Oh
flooded
yeah,
it.
Charlie, were you there?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Okay. You know,
He
there's a
finessed
lot of-
it. He finessed it too much. He
Oh,
finessed it
geez.
too much.
At this point, there's just going to be a story from everybody that's listening and that has been following this live since the beginning. Everyone's going to have a different story and that's going to be the legend of Daniel's boat. It's just that's how it's going to be. Everybody's going to be like, "Have you heard that story about Daniel's boat?" And then that's what's going to get told throughout this whole thing. No matter what, that's going to be the story, isn't it?
This isn't like towed him behind us. This is put out buoys, lashed him to the boat, and now we're casting over his boat to make our cast.
My god!
It's like it's like a motorcycle with the sidecar.
Yeah. We're having to like bounce fish over his boat.
You walk into his boat to get a better cast. You're like, oh,
exactly. Daniel, duck real quick.
I want to ask this question, and who was the first you actually did a logo for?
First one was for Eric Bent of SWBA. It was for, I think, the Offshore Challenge.
That's a pretty big one, especially for your first one.
Yeah. I was a senior or a freshman in college. What? So like that was like 2017, 2018. Yeah. Cause he was one of the first guys that started following me on Instagram, and commenting on my art. And I thought that was super cool, cause I was, geeking out. I was like, oh my gosh, SWBA or like, Warbaits followed me or, I was young and stuff. So I think I sent Eric a print, just being like, hey, like thanks for, being stoked about my stuff. And then he reached out to me and he's like, hey, like I have this tournament. I'd love you to do a design. And at that point I had no idea anything about graphic design, anything about getting a tangible drawing. Cause all the designs I do still to this day are drawn first with pencil and then I scan them, and then do what I need to do on the computer. So I was like, I don't know how to do that. So I basically gave him the original hard copy, and then Nick Arent of Lateral Vision kind of took over the rest. And then when he saw that, my second project was for Lateral Vision.
What? Nice.
Shortly after that. Yeah. So then after that, they kind of just opened my eyes to something I didn't even know was possible.
That's the first one for me. I didn't know you did that before.
Really? Yeah. So that was sweet. So then I was like, dang, like, it opened up avenues. And then, that's how I started doing the stickers and then obviously the t-shirts later on and, just kind of taught myself and asked questions along the way and still doing that, still trying to figure it out.
So you still never start on the computer. It's all
never.
You always start with pencil.
It's always hand drawn. Yeah. Every design I've done, every sticker, every hat, t-shirt, it's all a hand-drawn piece that's then digitized, and then I'll add the text and stuff, obviously. Except some of the designs I did for Stay Bent, I would hand draw the words. But yeah, anytime there's a fish or, there's other things in the piece, it's all hand-drawn.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, I've gone the opposite way. That's how I started. I would hand draw it, take a picture, and start working over that digitally.
Okay.
But I've gotten more comfortable with the digital to the point now where I'll do my initial drawing on there.
Really?
And then I'll print it out and transfer it over to my canvas.
Okay.
So I've kind of come around with that.
Okay.
I don't know, something about digital. I've just been able to get proportions better.
Really?
You know what? Yeah. For all the people who are artistic illiterate, like myself, I trace things. That's how I move forward in the artistic process. I go, I like this, I like that, I like this. And then I put it on a window, and then I go like this, and I like this, and then I like this,
so,
and I like this.
So if you guys don't know, I'm talking. Okay, go for it. And I was going to talk about you, by the way.
Okay.
So if you guys don't know, Daniel came up with a concept called Bay Rats, which is one of my favorites that he came up with. I don't want to cuss it on live, but I've been telling him to do a shirt because it's an awesome design, Yeah. And he hand drew it and transferred it into digital, which is pretty cool, but he doesn't listen. Right?
Daniel does a lot of really cool designs that he takes to concept. And then he's like, no, I'm not going to do anything with that.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
So what I'll say to elaborate on what you're saying, Daniel, most artists trace. They'll do their initial drawing. They'll put a piece of paper over it on a window and move from there. And then once you stop doing it on your window, you get what's called a light box. And the light box allows you to set it up like that and layer. But what's really cool is once you move to digital, it becomes just a tracing machine.
Right.
You can just retrace, and really perfect your design on it.
Yeah, I'm old school.
Yeah.
I really like
the pen on paper look.
I like the
it
pen on
looks
paper feel
sketched.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's much different for me because even going from the stage of digitalizing it, it's like a whole different art piece for me. And sometimes I'll get like out of control and I'll use these like filters and all this stuff, which makes it look cool. Don't get me wrong, but I'm also like, this is not like what I intended my piece to actually be in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stuff I do, I don't know even where to begin to look for that to show you guys. So I'm not. So what's funny to me is I try to keep that sloppy kind of sketchbook, like you're in high school and you're doodling in your notes, kind of look. I doodled so much in school because that's just who I am. That's kind of turned into my style. Is just that like rough sketch, like you almost like your concept art is my art. Like that's what it would be for me. So it's like I love those just extra lines, those little extra sketches, that the over like not perfect. That's what I like personally for myself.
Yeah, those are cool. I think those stickers. I think that's your artwork, right?
So this is Daniel's. This is Daniel's Bay Rat concept, which I was pretty stoked for. So it was good, you know.
They look nice. Yeah, that's cool.
So let's talk about your concepts and how they come to life, right? You have a lot. My favorite one, the thumb thrasher one.
Thrashers,
right?
Yep.
So how do those come? How do those come to?
I mean, I don't know. I've been asked this quite a few times, and there's really not a profound, deep, artistic answer. It's more just like, I started with the calico just because I love calico's by far my favorite species. And
I'm there with you on that one.
Yeah, and the whole release, respect, restore thing. I was, I wanted to make a design that was different in the sense, because I think at the time a lot of people were putting stuff out, like killing fish or just it was like as many as you can get, and I was living in Montana when I started all this and got into fly fishing. And I mean, fly fishermen are like some of the most artistic, they have such respect for the trout and stuff. And that kind of inspired me because I was like, it's cool to see more people in the calico community here, like the spotty guys, which most of them are really cool, really careful with the fish. But, to bring kind of more of that in a tangible sense, that's what I wanted to do. So I started with the calico, and then I was like, I'll do spotty. But the foam thrashers, that was just something I said once, I think in a post, and then a couple people commented on it. And Nick Arent, the Lateral Vision, was like, dude, you should make that. He's like, that's catchy. So then, I was like, all right. And then I tried to make it different, just add some colors, make it pop. And I don't know, a lot of stuff. I don't really have much of an idea. I just start it. And then it kind of just takes a direction of its own as I do it. I wish I had something better or more cool to say.
But it's all good, man.
That was a pretty cool answer.
Yeah,
it just comes.
I mean, it's an artistic thing, right? It just comes and you throw it out. You know,
it's organic, I guess. I just sit down and I'm like, all right, I want to make something and kind of have a rough idea. I want it to say X, Y, Z, and then just put some music on and see what happens.
See where it goes.
Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. I have a sketchbook of stuff that never made it, and maybe I'll look back at it later. And I've done that a couple times. Where you look back at it a few months later, and then you can work with it, looking at it from a different angle. But it just comes, I guess, comes and goes.
So do you do stuff every day? Are you like a sketch a day guy?
No. More like once every few months, honestly. I used to draw a whole lot in high school and earlier in college, but not so much anymore. Yeah. I don't know. It's just tough because sometimes once I sit down and do it, I really enjoy it, but sometimes it's just hard to be excited about it. You're just like,
it's hard to get the inspiration.
Right. Yeah. But once it comes, then, don't talk to me like you get into that flow state and that's all you can think about, you just total focus and stuff. But yeah, it's a rare thing. But when it does happen, I capitalize and I'll crank out a ton of stuff in 1 or 2 days.
What's fun for me is I have to really experience it in order to feel like I'm drawing it correctly or truly capturing what I want to capture in the artwork. So I was trying to draw a bunch of different things. I was actually at one point trying to do some form of diving sketches and working in that direction. So I actually went out and bought a bunch of free diving equipment. So anyone who wants to teach me better skills in free diving and actually get me back in the water, I'm more than happy to go, more than happy to do that. But what was funny is you almost don't know the small nuances of how a mask sits on your face, or that if you put it around your neck, that's more known as I think is it on your forehead? It might be on your neck that it's that is a universal sign for distress. Or so it's one of the two. It's either on your forehead or on around your neck that one symbolizes distress. But it's people who you're trying to, or artists that you're trying to work with, they're like, oh yeah, just draw me up a diver, and they do stuff like that. And you're like, well, actually, that doesn't work. That doesn't convey what I want. So a lot of the fun things is I'm like, all right, let's go get a kayak so I can learn how to draw stickers for kayak fishermen. All right, let's go float tubing so that I know how to draw a float tube. I know what float tubes look like, and I can kind of get the struggles and the successes behind float tubing, and that's going to be more depicted in the art and just make it a lot more fun in general.
Yeah.
You don't do any of those things.
No. Oh, man.
I'm going to have to send them some concept art. So
he probably has a lot. He probably has a lot.
Now that I don't do things, I'm going to have to start posting some concept art just to prove that, no, I did. I've sunk a boat a couple of times. I've gone lobstering. I've dived for lobsters and then got an infection. It was great. It was fantastic.
Wait, you drove for lobsters before?
Yeah, I did night diving for lobster, which was a really cool, a fun experience. But oh my gosh, is it terrifying? You can only see so far when there's no moon out and all you're using is a little flashlight to look for lobster. And it's terrifying because your imagination runs wild. And you're just there could be anything that's genuinely 6 feet away from me, and I would just never know. A giant shark could swim by you, and you might just feel that movement from whatever's swimming next to you. But yes.
Dude, the sea lions. I'm so much more worried about
sea lions. I mean, from what I've heard, I don't know, but sea lions primarily don't attack you unless, you got some.
I've seen you around a dog. I can just imagine how you are around a sea lion.
I'm terrified. By the way, your dog is scary. Was scary, not anymore. But yeah, we got kicked out. Don't wave scissors, guys.
That's funny.
So Kyle, back to fishing. Do you go out solo, or do you usually with your dad all the time, or have you gone on solo missions?
A few times. I've done a few solo kayak or shore pound. And then when the Lake Mission Viejo that I was talking about earlier, I would do quite a bit of solos. We had a little boat out there too. But yeah, now it's just a wall and stuff always with him, or with a buddy, but yeah, not a big solo guy. I mean, when I was in Montana, I was fishing 3 to 5 times a week, I'd say, always solo. But I was different. Probably should have had somebody. I'd run into bears and stuff quite a bit. But Lake Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I feel different walking, shore pounding or bank fishing than I do solo on a boat. Solo on a boat, I've never been able to be comfortable.
I don't know. But yeah, like you said, I don't know how it is for you, but walking around and stuff, it feels more active, goes by quicker. But when you're just kind of motoring around by yourself or even on a kayak, it's just it's not the same.
I caught a fish, guys.
Right? Yeah. There's like less excitement. You're just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I got a little 6-inch bass.
I mean, fishing alone is literally how mermaids, got invented. So it's just saying. So if you're fishing alone, you're most likely going to see mermaids. For all those that want to see mermaids, just
fish alone. Mm-hmm. But it's not exciting when you fish alone.
Yeah.
It's not. The first time I caught like a good largemouth at the park, a 3-pounder, I'd been talking to some of the older guys. They don't do any social media stuff, which is all cool. I was talking to them, and they're seeing I got a bluegill tied on. They're like, yeah, nothing here is probably going to eat that. Okay, cool. And like literally, I go where one of them was, and I saw how he was casting. I said, he didn't really seem to cover this area. First cast right over there, I get that 3-pounder. And I'm so stoked. I'm like, guys, look. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Imagine I would have been there. Oh, my gosh.
Well, there was some old guy. He barely spoke English walking his dog. And he's coming over and in broken English trying to ask me what kind of fish it is. Gets on the phone, FaceTimes like, I don't know if it's his son or his grandson. And then that guy's like, he's trying to know what kind of fish that is.
Probably.
No, he was so stoked I don't think he knew they were fishing there.
That's funny.
But yeah, we had a translator on FaceTime.
What fish is it? What fish is it? I know it was, Luke. I'm just repeating what you said.
It was a largemouth.
I'm just repeating what you said. So, let's see if we have any. You know what? There was a comment before. Have you ever designed a tattoo for somebody?
I have, yeah. I've done, I think I'm at 5 tattoos now. They've all been fish. I think I did one. It was like a rose, kind of like a floral design I did for someone in college, but everything else has been fish. And I think they've all been trout. I've had one guy get a spotty. One of my friends from high school, he got a huge spotty across his whole chest. Joaquin, yeah. And then one of my college roommates, he was a fly fishing guide out in Montana. And he got a huge brown trout on his, I think, bicep or thigh. I don't know. It's hard to tell from the photo what it was. I did.
So you went to college up in Montana?
For about 5 years. In Missoula, Montana.
And you grew up where?
Orange County.
You know, the first time I met you, I told Nick, I was like, he has an accent like he's from like,
Dude, so many people tell me that. And I don't hear. Yeah.
Did you talk like that before Montana?
Really?
I think so.
So now, our friend right now, I think, is he in Wyoming, Gavin, or Montana?
Yeah,
I don't know. We can't wait
like
we're up there.
Back, but he's gonna be the most rootin' tootin' Californian, and it's gonna be so annoying when he gets back. Can't wait to pester him about it.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I'm wearing cowboy boots right
and
now.
everything.
That's what I'm saying.
I was probably wearing when I met you too.
That's what I'm saying. I was telling Nick, I'm like, where is he from?
Yeah.
All right,
And he's like, he's from here.
Yeah, at the Palooza. I was wearing boots.
Yeah, that's the first time. That was the first time I met you. Yeah. So I met Kyle at Laugh-A-Palooza. No, wait. Laugh-A-Palooza.
Like yeah,
right?
Yeah.
All right,
so that's
Kyle,
the one
here. Here's a design for you right now. You're going to grab yourself a boot. We're going to do a side profile of it. We're going to put a spotty sticking out of it. And it's just going to say, "There's a spotty in my boot."
He started talking like that.
I didn't even know what Yellowstone was for like 2 years, and I was living out there. Then I ended up being an extra in season 4.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they said, hey, just thicken up that accent a little.
So,
Yeah.
so I don't know if Nick is still on here. Well, he's still on here, but he's a big Yellowstone fan, so he might have seen you on there.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit. Yeah, that's funny.
So where was Brokeback Mountain filmed?
That's somewhere else.
That's not. It's not in Montana.
No.
That's before his time.
Yeah. That's.
So you had a booth.
Oh yeah,
PCS show. You did not have one at the Fred Hall show. Are you going to be doing the cast?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I went.
Drive?
I saw Charlie there at the recent one. I was just there visiting, but yeah, I'd be interested in doing that. And it seems like it's pretty cool to hang out and stuff. And
that's probably one of the toy events of the year.
I like those smaller, like weekend or one day ones because it's mostly people, like us in the, our niche, our community. And it's way easier to set up and handle. PCS was a bit overwhelming, honestly. I mean, yeah. And that was my first ever like kind of show. So I had no idea what to expect or, how to run it or anything. And I was happy with how it went, but by the last day, I was pretty overwhelmed and dead. But
burned out.
But it was good. I was super stoked. I appreciated everybody that came out and stuff. But it was a long.
Someone's asking if you fish flies in the bays.
Fished the break wall with a streamer. Didn't catch any bass. Caught a ton of bonita and a ton of mackerel. It was super fun.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was a little 5-weight and like dry fly line. I don't know if you guys are familiar with fly fishing tackle. Okay.
Probably Daniel is, but not me.
Just go.
I mean, basically, I was fishing. The lightest because your 5-weight rod is pretty standard. That can cover. It's your all around. So you can throw dry flies. You could draw. Oh my gosh, I can't. You can throw dry flies, small streamers, nymphs. It's your go-to. And then your dry fly line, and they have sinking line, sinking tip, forward tip. Just for all sorts of applications. So basically, I was using like very light trout gear on the break wall, catching bonita and stuff every cast. And it was a blast, super fun. Oh yeah. I've seen guys do it for spotties, and I've seen some of the guys that catch like big calico at the islands and the wall, but they're using, I think, more adequate gear and stuff.
So now, when you're on a setup like that, I'm imagining you're not using drag as much as you're pinching the line. Am I correct?
That I have, it's called a click and paw, so there's no drag system, so it's all just pressure applied with your hand. So yeah, I didn't even know they had drag systems on reels until I moved out there.
So you're using pressure with your hand on the reel, or are you using
you can do both. I usually do the reel, but I've seen some guys. I think it's kind of a personal preference on how you want to fight the fish. But
well, I know my dad was fishing trout recently, and I can't remember. Maybe it was Montana or something like that.
I think he said Utah.
And he was talking about how it was Utah. The way that the trout were coming at you, he said you didn't even have time to reel. It was all straight.
Yeah, when I'm bringing a fish in, a lot of times I don't even use the reel. But if they go to take a run and they're pulling drag, then I'll use my hand as the drag system. Yeah.
So that's
the bonita, it was all, for the most part, I was stripping them because you're stripping it anyways. That's how you're getting the streamer to move, and then they would just slam it, and then your line is just coming out of the reel, and then you're just stripping it back as fast as you can and stuff. So yeah, it was super fun.
So we went to Bart Hall, right? Me and Luke, and then we met up with Nick up there. We hung out at the.
You're gonna say.
We hung out at the Sunimpec booth, which Daniel was helping out at. And then me and Luke walked around. I think we were leaving already, right, Luke? Or we went to the restroom, I think. And then there was a fly,
you guys tried to leave like 15 or 20 different times. They're like, oh, okay, we're going now, and then they'd walk back around. I'm like, are you guys just lost? Like, what's going on?
So we came across this like fly little booth where they were teaching. Where they were
like
the
teaching
little
guy.
pond.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So they were teaching people how to cast.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
look
the whole
at
pond
Luke and
setup.
I'm like, dude, why does this line look like weed whacker line? Like it looks like weed whacker line.
Yeah, it's trippy, man.
And I told him.
Is it
I said
weed whacker?
yes,
No,
it
it's
is.
not.
No, but it's like, I don't know. There's so many different coatings, but it's because that's your weight. I mean, a weightless fly is just a hook with feathers. So, and like I was,
This stuff looks straight up out of the weed whacker.
They all come in different colors and stuff too. And like I was saying, some they have the diameter or the thickness of the line increases towards the tip.
Yeah, we were looking at this one had a really like
So it all just depends on what you're doing.
So you're
tapered down to 4
doing a leader, right? You do a leader.
So you have the fly line, which is, the colored stuff. It's like green, brown, white, whatever. That's the rubbery,
This
Yep.
bright.
So you have that, and then you connect that to your leader, which is about 6 to 9 feet, 6 to 12 feet. And that also has a taper where it starts maybe at 15, the standard's about maybe 10 pound to like 4 to 3 pound test. And then you have your ticket after that, which is usually like a fluorocarbon 4 2 pound.
So you have 3 liters.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 liters.
Yes. Yeah. Which is a pain if you get snagged or something. It takes so long
to retie.
Oh yeah. And then
now what kind of knots are you? What kind of knots are you using to connect?
I don't know the name of it. It's kind of similar to how you would do braid to mono or braid to fluoro, but basically you just take the 2 lines, the 2 ends, and then you make like a loop.
You need a uni?
Maybe. I don't know the names. I'm terrible for names.
When you do the loop and then you
put the end through it, and then you pull it tight. Yeah.
So like you need a uni?
Okay. Yeah, probably. Okay.
Surgeon knot. It's what.
That's probably what they use.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably where you go through a couple times and then you go
and then you cinch it together. Yeah.
I've caught one trout fly fishing, and I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, no, it's so much more rewarding on the fly rod.
I'm batting 1,000, and I've retired.
Yeah. No, I was so stoked when I caught my first one because I spin fished my whole life, fishing like pamphor martins or mini jigs and stuff, which I still do. It's still fun. But there's just something about when you get them on the fly, it's so much more, it's so much more of an art form. It's more like hunting, I think, than fishing because you gotta get your fly perfect. And if there's any sort of drag, meaning like, cause you have to mend your line. Cause if that fly line floats past your fly, or if it causes your fly to make any sort of disturbance that's unnatural, that a bug wouldn't do, like they're not going to hit it. So a lot of that you don't have to worry about when you're fishing, a spinner or a worm or something.
So have you seen any of these guys who are using the, I think it's called the BFS system, where it's the really small reels that are made for casting?
Like little bait casters?
Jigs. I've seen some guys recently fishing trout. It's little bait casters that are made for casting.
I've seen a few guys. It looks kind of fun.
20 yards.
I'd be curious to try it. But
so so Ben from Below Average Fishing fishes a lot of BFS, right? Okay. Like finessey, really light rods, right? And he's catching spotties on them, man. It looks fun, Yeah,
I would love to pull on a spotty or something. That'd be so fun. Even like a little 10-inch or something. That'd be super fun.
You could imagine how the fight is, So, yeah.
Well, me and Daniel both got these rods that are they're like slow pitch rods for spotty, and they're super light. They're, I think, like 8 to 14 pounds, 6 to 14 pounds, something like that. But when you catch the spotties on these, it's pretty incredible because this thing is just a rainbow.
Yeah, jeez.
And so I think we're somewhere in that in between where we're not quite at the BFS yet, but
Grant,
it's pretty light.
of Waterman's Collective. He wrapped me up one of those.
Yeah, he wrapped Daniels,
okay.
and
he made me one of those rods, and it took a learning curve to get used to it because I was trying to fish it, with swim baits and stuff, and I don't think that's how you're really supposed to use it, but it's fun when you hook up. The whole rod's just it's like a trout rod.
I specifically got it for slow pitch, and it was perfect. My hookup ratio, not hookup ratio,
right?
My staying on the hook ratio went through the roof.
Yeah,
because I was having a problem where I think I had a little too heavy a rod for the flat falls, and they were throwing them.
Yet to,
and so far, I have not had
the slow pitch stuff, but I could see because when you're kind of twitching or it just loads so nicely, and you could just tell that they're going to load up really nice on it.
Yeah, it's an amazing load up. And the nice part about that sponginess is because we're doing such large pops with the slow pitch jig, is that sometimes you kind of go aggressive. And what I mean by sometimes is all the times, especially me, is that you're going a little bit aggressive. So if they hit that and you can very easily rip it out of their mouth.
Right.
And so with that parabolic action, that's a big word for me, it tends to absorb when the fish bites, which is nice. Because then it tends to sit in their mouth, and then you get a nice hookup ratio.
But then, are you more potentially to lose more stuff?
I don't think so. I think it's the opposite. Am I saying that right? Marshall's asking us if we worry about the spotties taking us into the rocks with the light tackle. He always horses them out. I'm not worried about it because I'm still fishing a pretty heavy drag. So they've got a little wiggle room for their head thrashes. So as the spotty's on the flat fall, they start doing that, dog with the bone back and forth with their head. And this gives it enough room in our tip to just absorb those and stay with it. We're not giving them enough room to get back into structure. So long answer, but no, I'm not worried about it because it's not like I'm still on 20 pound. It's not like I'm on, because it's a reaction bite. It's not like I'm on 4 pound trying to finesse them out of grass. I'm getting them out of structure and not giving them room.
Still heavy pound. Yes.
Yeah. I think, a lot of times I'll either have a 20 pound leader or a lot of times I'll go straight to the 30.
Yeah. I've been fishing straight lately.
Straight braid? Straight braid gang.
Yeah.
What size line are you using on the SPJ setup? I was using 30 pound. I just moved to 20 pound Samurai, which I think has a 15 pound diameter, and it's really, really strong. It still has that true 20 pound breaking point.
What about you, Kyle? What pound test do you usually use?
I usually have like 2 or 3 rods when I fish the wall and stuff like that. But I fish super light. I mean, my PB I caught on a 6-foot G Loomis rod. It's like medium rated. Yeah, usually I'll have a 65 pound.
What is that?
I didn't have the weight, but I want to say it was 23 inch calico. I think I sent Charlie the release video of it.
I don't think you did.
No,
I don't think you did.
I'll send it again. You can watch it.
I'm like, I don't think you did because it would have made it to the promo.
Really? I was surprised you did it. I was like, dude, it's a big bass, but all right.
I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't
know.
Oh man, I'm gonna be so.
So 23. If you were going to guess, what would you call that? 5 to 6 pounds?
Oh, I'm so bad.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I'd say every bit of 5 for sure.
I know.
Right.
I don't always measure because I forget, which sucks. Because when I caught, probably my 3 or 4 biggest fish don't have measurements on them, but I know a lot of my 4-pounders measure around 20 to 22 in that slot. Dude, I was with Shannon. He caught a 17
just a football.
4-pounder. It was so fat. It was ridiculous. I have never seen such a small.
Well, didn't you
fish
say
be
you caught a
so
spotting
big.
too on Daniel's what was it? I think I think it was the leash, and you said it was
tail spinner.
There you go. And it was like small, but it was really fat.
Yeah, you got like a 3-pounder.
It wasn't small. It was 16, and it was 2.6 pounds. Where my 17 didn't even break the 2-pound mark.
Yeah, my just under 5-pound calico is 19 inches. So just to put that into perspective.
Okay.
We didn't get a measure on my calico, but we did get a weight.
So we're getting asked, how much does sunlight affect the color?
Yeah.
Kyle?
A lot. Sunlight, moonlight, water.
Do you think that affects you, Kyle?
For me.
Yeah, I mean, if it's bright out, I like to throw something that has more clear, like a more clearish glitter, not something that's a total solid color. But yeah, I mean, at nighttime, like I said, I'm not really picky, but if I'm fishing in the day or morning, I'm a little more picky with color. And yeah, I'd say I want to fish something more natural or something, that's cool.
Ooh, gold digger?
Definitely more opacity in it if it's sunny out. And then if it's cloudy, for some reason, cloudy, I really love reds or like just brown kind of baits. I'm a sucker for that, like cloudy days and stuff, but
I love cloudy days. I just if you give me an option, if you
always do better on them.
Cloudy, I'm going to fish cloudy.
Right.
But during the day, I tend to fish a little bit more of a bladed bait situation. I'm going to throw the A-rig. I'm going to throw the spinner bait. I'm going to throw the underspin. I'm going to throw the bladed jig. In some fashion, I'm going to try to add a blade in or the flashy swimmer that owner has. So it's like during the day, I'm definitely throwing a blade of some sort, the axe blade and so on. There's a lot of different bladed baits out there. During the night, I don't necessarily care for the blade, but does it still work? Yes. So there's the difference personally to me for day and night. So it's that kind of change. It's like during the day, I'm throwing the A-rig. I'm throwing big bladed presences to really just pull those spotties in for that drawability. Because it's like if a bass is willing to show itself, that meal has to be worth it during the day. So I'm going to throw a little bit larger. I'm going to throw those big presents, those big, just wake heavy baits to get those bites.
Dude, dark sleeper during the day is always a good call.
You do well on it in the day too.
Crankbaits.
In the night as well.
Oh yeah, at night
during the day.
For sure.
Yeah.
You throw the dark sleeper?
I have a couple times. I like it. It's cool. I like that color. Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never thought to throw it in the day. I'll have to try that though.
So we're about out of time here. We got a couple minutes left. Plug anything you want to plug. Plug stuff you're going to be at. Plug people you're working with.
Right now it's kind of it's
plug your website.
The websites, it's running. It's going good. It's K and then credoart.com. I got a ton of stuff on sale right now, trying to get rid of a lot of stuff after the show, just so I can make room for new stuff. I got a couple designs I'm working on a logo for butter baits that I'm really excited about.
Nice.
Yeah. And just kind of, the show was really good. It was really overwhelming. It took me a while to get everything, re-inventoried and stuff. And like I said, everything's on sale. So,
Kyle, do you take commissions?
I do.
All right. And how do they find you if they want a commission?
Easiest way is Instagram. And if anyone ever has a question or anything, shoot me a message. I'm always super happy to hear ideas, and and I'm always honest. If it's something that I know I can't do to the best of my ability, I'm like, well, you should go check out so and so. I think that's more what you're looking for. I'm not going to have
pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
You got any new stuff
it's
coming out?
It's in the works. I got like a yellowtail kind of concept.
Ooh.
Yeah, a little different. And then I want to do some more freshwater stuff. Just because at the show I had a lot of people asking, like, because I have a trout and a largemouth, but it's pretty limited. So, and then art, I want to really kind of get back to how I started putting out more artwork and prints. So, yeah, and the baits as well. I'm trying to do more with the baits. So, just but yeah, I'm stoked. Everyone's been supporting and stuff, and I appreciate it, and it's been real cool.
Are you gonna have that calico hat again? The one. It's not any of your. Nope, it's not that one.
Which one?
The one where it's like the hat has. It's not a hat like this, right?
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like. I don't have any examples.
So like this one, like where it's flat.
Yeah,
it's not structured.
It's like that, but it has that little cartoon calico, and the jig is like
the embroidered one. It was the green hat with the Maybe I want to do kind of more stuff like that, the more cartoony, animated look.
Love it.
Yeah.
You got a customer in me.
Yeah. All right.
I love cartoon stuff.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, those were cool. I think I only made a dozen of those, so those went pretty quick. But those are one of my favorites. They came out really nice. So, yeah.
Sammy wants to know if you're going to have a Dorado.
Probably not. I've done a Dorado in the past for fugu, or how do you say it? Fugu rods. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw that one. That looked pretty
probably
cool.
Stick with the yellowtail for now. Maybe a tuna for the offshore guys, and then do some more trout stuff, and then just more artwork. I want to put out more prints, more originals, and just get back on all that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us for today's episode. We appreciate you. I also appreciate you re-downloading Instagram.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Re-hopping on.